Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skibowski of Remax Lakes. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and you're back from vacation.
I'm back from vacation. I did another dive trip, so yeah, I'm going to rub it in. Went from 82 degrees to -4 in one day.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, our car was frozen in. We flew out of South Bend, and we'd had all that rain and snow, so I had 6.5, 7 inches of snow on top of the car.
Yeah.
Plus the rain had come and frozen my car. It should have been a YouTube of me climbing in the back seat because the driver's door was frozen shut. I could not open it.
Yeah.
So I got the passenger or the back seat door open, climbed in, whatever, didn't have gloves, didn't have a jacket, and it's -4 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah. But woe is me.
Right, yeah, I know you were just diving, looking at an octopus. What else did you take video of?
Eel.
An eel, yeah.
Eagle rays. Yeah. I mean, so we go to St. Croix, which a lot of people don't know. I was telling Sonia off the air.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know you do not need a passport to travel to St. Croix. It's U.S. territory.
Okay.
So if you want to go to a tropical island, you don't have to go to Jamaica. You don't have to go to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, any of that stuff. St. Croix, fantastic destination. It's use American dollar. Prices are higher because it's a tourist destination, but it's something you need to experience at some point in your life. The ocean is beautiful. It's blue, 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 blue. You just can't. Yeah. It's my happy place. I guess when I get there, it's my happy place. Yeah. And being underwater diving is my happier place. Yeah. So I go to my happy place to get happier. Yeah. And dive.
It looked like a lot of fun.
We did.
Roger, we need to go.
We need to go. Office trip.
Yeah.
Office trip. Yeah. Perfect. So, so getting back, I got to get back in the swing of things. I guess. So. Thinking about today's show, what really matters? Well, homeownership matters. A lot of people rent their entire lives, and essentially you're lighting that money up when you hand it over to the landlord. Yeah. You have zero control of what you live in, other than your choice of where you're going to be. But if a landlord chooses to raise your rents, they raise your rents. Never owning anything. I couldn't do that myself, whether I'm an agent or not. But I look back at my grandparents, who both were factory workers at GM, up in Michigan. My grandpa, 7th grade education. My grandma, 8th grade education. They bought and sold houses. They bought a house, fixed it up, sold it, made some money to buy the next one, and so on and so on. And they ended up, I'm not going to say they were, extremely wealthy, but their net worth was pretty good.
Yeah, they were wealth. Yeah.
They had built wealth through buying and selling homes. Yeah. Now, I have to say, today's market, it's more difficult to do that with prices where they are. Right. There aren't many bargains to be had as far as buying goes. But even though it may be more difficult, long term, it's a good strategy to, number one, fix your housing expense, which for most of us is our single largest expense. Right? If you look at, I know some people have got a couple car payments, this, that, and the other thing, maybe a four-wheeler, maybe a boat, all of that stuff. But if in the grand scheme of things, your house is typically your largest single expense, whether you're renting it or whether you're buying it. So if you can fix that expense with a 30-year mortgage, which rates are finally coming down, we'll talk the R word, rates are coming down, they're back in between that 6 and 7. Okay. I've got one that's closing a couple weeks, 6 3/8 is what the people have. Okay. They've got good credit, if you have poor credit, and that's another show for us.
Right.
But if you've got good credit and you're doing conventional financing, 6 3/8, it's not 3%, but it's also not the 8% we experienced last year with the high inflation and things like that. Yeah. So, if you do a 30-year fixed loan on a home, you have fixed that one portion of your monthly budget or your annual budget, however you choose to slice and dice it. Yeah. So if you're renting, you're doing it in 1-year bundles typically, right? You do a 1-year lease, and at the end of that year, it might go up 5%. And at the end of the next year, it may go up 5%. And at the end of the next year, it may not go up at all. But the fact is, all of that money that you've spent is just gone straight to the landlord.
Right.
There's no building wealth for you.
No,
You're
I mean,
not
think
gaining
about
any
it.
equity.
I mean, for people that are renting right now, I don't know what your rent is, but think about it. That's probably like about $12,000 going out the door that you will never ever see again. And I've always said the reason why I'm in the house I'm in right now is because of my first home that I bought.
Sure.
And I built wealth through that, and actually I was able to pay it off. I was a lucky one, very lucky to do that. But then I bought the bigger family home. It took a while, but it's building wealth.
Sure, and I'm not slamming folks that are renting.
No.
Because there are a lot of reasons that you want to rent.
Yes.
If you're, in the middle, if you're in transition, you're going somewhere, sometimes it makes more sense to rent.
Right.
For a while to figure out, hey, is this where I want to live? Is this the area I want to go to? What neighborhoods do I want to live in? Is this a place I plan to be? Or you're in transition. You're from one home going to a bigger home. You're building something else and you need to rent for short term. I've rented, throughout my life. I have. A couple of times I've been in apartments.
Right.
Because that's what made sense for us at that time. But long term, I believe that home ownership truly does matter, and it's a way for the average Joe to build equity, to increase their net worth. And after the break, we can talk a little bit more about this.
Okay, you're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skibowski from Remax Lakes, and we're talking about home ownership and basically, creating wealth, building wealth through home ownership. Now, we did talk about renting, and it's a great place to start as you're trying to figure out, okay, am I going to live here? Am I going to live in Warsaw? Am I going to live, am I moving down south or whatever, And when you decide where you're going to stay long term, then you want to start thinking about buying a place.
Absolutely, and I guess one other thing for renting, the nice thing is there's no maintenance.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right. Sign me up for that.
I know.
At times, right? When you have, we've had through the years, right? Been doing this show for a while now.
Yeah.
Rogers septic field went out.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I remember that.
That's a big cost.
Talked about that for a while.
In the last 2 years, my furnaces both went out. Right. I have 2 furnaces in my house. They both went out. That's a big ticket item that you have to replace. Where if I'm renting, I don't have to worry about any of that.
All the landlord.
So, again, I am not slamming folks who choose to rent. If that's your choice, that's your choice. What we're saying is, for most people, if you want to build wealth, net worth, home ownership's one way to get there. It's part of that process.
It goes back to your why.
Absolutely. If you want the flexibility of not having to maintain a property, maybe renting's for you. That's the way to go. Absolutely. If I didn't have to mow my grass, put the pier in, take the pier out, all of the things, clean the gutters, all the things that go along with owning a house, maybe renting's the way to go.
Right.
So,
but there's also pride in ownership. When you do own something, there is pride in ownership, and you tend to take care of it, better because it goes back to your why.
Well, and it gives you the opportunity to make changes to a property that are yours. You can make that property your own.
Yeah.
When you're renting, it's someone else's and always will be someone else's property. So why do I want to put any effort into changing it? In fact, some are so restrictive, you can't change it.
Yeah.
So, and again, getting ready for this show, I pulled some stats. I don't know how real this is, but it's a source from this website that I'm on, that's Keeping Current Matter. So they interview mortgage brokers, they interview realtors, they interview builders, lots of folks. Statistically, homeowner net worth is almost 40 times greater than renters. Now, this seems a bit extreme to me, but renters, $10,400, homeowners, $400,000. Now, what range? I'm not buying that, because renters can still save and put money in their 401k and all of that stuff. That all adds to net worth. But the reality is, every mortgage payment that you make on your property, you gain in equity a little bit. Yeah. You gain in equity a little bit. Yeah. And when the start of last year, everybody was in the market's going to crash, prices are going to drop off. How'd that work out for you? Right. They continued to appreciate. This same organization and groups of folks, economists, statisticians, whatever, have predicted that home prices are going to continue to rise through 28. Now, I would say it's probably going to go past that, Because with the exception of the big crash in 07, 08, 09, long term, real estate is appreciated in value. Now, it may be 1-2% a year, but on average, it's 4 to 5% a year, 3 to 5, depends on where you're at. Lake properties, typically a little bit more. So if you just pay your mortgage payment and you're building that equity and your house increases in value 5% per year, your $100,000 house the next year is worth 105.
Yeah.
The following year, it's 110 plus a little bit. The following year, it's 115 plus a little bit more. You know, that 5% each year, because interest compounds over time. So long term, that's how we're saying that homeowners get to a higher net worth than what renters do. Because renters, there is no appreciation in the money that you've paid to the landlord. Where if you own a home and maintain it, right? You have to maintain it.
True.
I'm not saying let it overgrow and become a dump, but you have to maintain it. And if you maintain that property long term, it will appreciate in value. And what's that do? It sets you up for financial success down the road. You fix that single largest expense that most of us have. And I know I keep saying that you fixed it. Well, you have. The only thing that can change if you've got a 30-year fixed mortgage is the fact that your insurance can go up, and it does every year. It does every year, and your taxes can go up. But beyond that, your payment is fixed. So if I look back to somebody that bought 20 years ago, and 20 years ago myself, if I had not refinanced, I was at about a 6% mortgage. Yeah, we went through the dip, back up to it, but my house is almost paid for. I've owned it 20 years. Now think about that. When the house is fully paid for, that money that was going to my payment goes elsewhere. And that elsewhere could be more vacations. And I'm signing up for that.
Big time.
I'm signing up for more vacations.
Right.
So long term, owning a home is a great solution to build equity and to build net worth.
Yeah, it is. And well, as they say, you know, the rich get richer. Okay, this is just, I mean, on our level, that's what that's what this is when you have that home ownership and you're building that wealth, and when you do pay it off, now that money stays.
You're
in your
paying
pocket.
yourself, and you can do whatever you would like to do with that money. Now, again, you know, we're getting older. What happens? Health care expenses go. All of that stuff. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but long-term planning for the future, owning that house, doing a 30-year mortgage, and if you stay in it all of that time, not flipping like my grandparents did, stay in that house. I'm in the same house I was in 2000. I've been there a long time. I've exceeded the average.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, if you'd like to continue this conversation with Mark, make sure you reach out. Mark, your contact information?
Sure. Website, skibowskiteam.com. Phone numbers, 574-527-0660. Can always email me, mark@skibowskiteam.com.
Very good. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.